Amid another year of historically devastating wildfires at an immense scale, California is in the middle of another environmental crisis.
The worst recorded drought in state history.
Last month, Californians conserved on average less than 2% of everyday usage. This despite Governor Newsom in July asking residents to cut back by 15%.
Good morning from the KCBS radio studios in San Francisco. This is Bay Current for Thursday, September 23rd. I'm Matt Pittman. Coming up, KCBS Radio's Chris and Carlo, who has covered California droughts as a journalist in Southern California, explains what it all means and how statistics about this year's water usage may not tell the complete story. But first, here in the Bay, in Gilroy.
Basil and strawberries grown in this naturally lit greenhouse are beautiful, uniform, locally grown, and sustainable.
We've been sold out from this facility every single week for about a year and a half now.
For more, I want to bring in KCBS Radio's Margie Schaefer. Margie, you've got I think, a fascinating report on the air this morning about an autonomous farm. And look, I'm a city boy, okay? I'm a city boy.
But when you like your veggies.
I love my veggies. I also love cool toys and robots. Yesterday, you showed me some video from your reporting and your assignment out there. It's just fascinating. So I guess the main question, what in the world is an autonomous farm?
Okay, well, it isn't a fully autonomous farm. I mean, there are some people there, but it's pretty amazing. So
someone has to tell the robots what to do, right?
Exactly. Somebody has to tell the robots what to do. And they also have some plant specialists and some horticulturist people who are there. But basically, they are able to look at the amount of water that's being used, how they're growing, and it's all being done by computers. And of course, somebody's watching those computers, and they're double checking, and they're giving these plants the tune-ups that they need. So you might have somebody that might be going out, into the field, getting their hands dirty with the dirt, trying to figure out why are these leaves turning yellow or something like that, if they have the right amount of nitrogen or the right amount of potassium. This way, the computer's actually they're flagging it. They're saying this is what they need, and then they're giving the plant exactly what it needs based on all this information that's being done autonomously.
That's pretty amazing. Being able to save water is such a huge part of your story and really the technology of where this is and what they're trying to develop. How much water are they able to save? Is that something they're able to quantify at this point?
Yes, they can absolutely quantify it. And that is what this data-driven approach is absolutely mind-blowing because they're using 90% less water than traditional farms. And the CEO of Iron Ox gave me a figure, and I have verified it. We use 70% of our fresh water for our agriculture. So when you can cut down on the amount of water that's being used in agriculture, that's going to save us a lot of water.
That's incredible. And I imagine that autonomous farming, and certainly the future of it, is not super cheap. What's the status in terms of how they're able to fund not just the work that they're doing, but the research behind it, the technology behind it?
So right now, VC money, venture capital is getting behind this. This is Bill Gates' fund, and they've given $53 million. And the way they're going to make this work is scale. They're going to make this, with a lot of farming happening this way. In fact, the farm that they're now constructing in Texas is 50 times bigger than the greenhouse that they have in Gilroy, where they're showing off what's happening. And that's the way that they're going to make it work. And they're also very excited about this because, while we have drought problems, there are also a lot of places in the world that have drought problems and famine. If you can take this to places like sub-Saharan Africa and make this work with less water, you're going to solve a lot of problems.
Incredible. We'll have Margie will have more at kcbsradio.com. It's a tremendous story. We'll have some video up there. It's really cool just to look at and to watch, but to learn more. Margie, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
But before the robots can save the day, the alarms are blinking bright red. A report this week shows that statewide, Californians fell far short of Governor Gavin Newsom's challenge that each of us use 15% less water. New data reveals that in July, collectively, we reduced water usage by just 1.8%. But the data also shows we're using 17% less water compared to 1 year ago. For more, I wanted to chat with KCBS Radio's Chris and Carlo. Partly, Chris, I'll be honest, because of your professional background as a journalist in Southern California. You've covered drought stories over the years here in our state. When you see some of these alarming numbers, the governor had asked residents to aim to reduce water uses by 15%. Sounds like collectively we got to about 1.8%. Not great. Kind of the status report. How does this drought this year kind of stack up against some of the other challenges we've had in years past?
Well, in terms of back-to-back droughts, so we're talking 2 years of drought that we've been in, this is among the worst on record. So there's nothing to sugarcoat here when it comes to just how bad this drought has been. A couple interesting things to note here, right? So number one, yes, Newsom asked for a 15% reduction. He didn't get it. It ended up being 1.8%, according to the numbers that were given to us by the state yesterday. And it also appears as though the Southern California districts have not really cut back on their water usage. Overall, though, here's the thing. People were already using 16% less water when Governor Newsom asked for that reduction of an additional 15% than they had been at the outset of the previous drought. So what that tells us is that people have gotten used to basically living a little bit more drought friendly, and that perhaps there wasn't as much flex there as officials had hoped for an additional reduction in water usage. The other issue is that the drought is not seen in Southern California the same way that it is in Northern California. Yeah. There is a very different perception in Southern California. The irony, of course, being that none of the water is actually there. But Southern California has more water storage overall. So the Metropolitan Water District, which supplies most of Southern California with its water, they have contracts where they are getting water directly from the Colorado River, getting water directly from up north in the Delta, and then also storing in aquifers and various reservoirs down there. And they have been able to basically stockpile water both on paper and in reality. And because of that, they have told me, I've talked to them and also LADWP, they think that they have enough water to stave off any real emergency for another year.
40%, according to the state, 40% of water suppliers in the South Coast region, that includes Los Angeles, Orange, San Diego, and Ventura counties, they're using more water than they did last year. And this larger full state picture of not meeting that 15% milestone, only being at 1.8, Bay Area counties got pretty darn close. Aggregate statewide, that Southern California cluster of counties does bring us down low. That's an interesting perspective to hear, that they view it differently than we do. So what are the implications then statewide if you kind of have such a disparity in how the water is used?
I mean, this is the challenge. First off, people need to understand the reality of how water is used in the state. 80% of it goes to agricultural needs. So that goes to the Central Valley, goes down to the Imperial Valley, goes down to other farming regions in the state. The remaining 20% goes to urban places. Much of that water, and again, this is where the perception kind of changes, much of that water goes to industrial uses and not necessarily to residential uses. So yes, if you get people to cut back on watering their lawns and how long they take showers and whatever else they use water for, slip and slides, whatever, it's going to make an impact, but it's not going to be the sort of massive impact that a lot of people will expect. It does make a difference, and I don't want to dispel any kind of idea there, but it is maybe not as profound. Where the important cutbacks come into play is going to be in the agricultural sector, and that's where Jerry Brown wrinkled some feathers. I think it was a 25% reduction that he mandated across the board. And once you start doing that, that's when you start seeing those signs along Interstate 5 that say, recall Governor X, and we're growing America's food, stop taking away our water.
Thanks to my colleagues Chris and Carlo and Margie Schaefer. And thank you for listening. That's what's in today's Bay Current. Stay plugged in with the latest on the drought and all your Bay Area news at kcbsradio.com, as well as the Odyssey app, where you can find podcasts like this one, get exclusive audio on demand, and stream KCBS Radio live. I'm Matt Pittman. Talk to you tomorrow.